Hey coaches, are you interested in installing the inside or outside zone into your running schemes? Well, I'm going to show you a couple ways how to install it and how to teach it, so stay tuned. Hey coaches, Coach Ross bringing you another video today. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to install the inside zone and outside zone to your offense in the air raid. Before I get into it, if you like what you see and you like the content, please subscribe so that we can grow this channel and I can bring you more and more videos about spread offense, air raid offense, all kinds of different things regarding football, especially in the youth category as well. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about the inside and outside zone. I'm going to show you how to teach it and how we teach it in the and how we install it in the 2x2 and 3x1 formation. Again, we call 2x2, we call that our doubles formation. Just to repeat, X and H are always on the left, Z and Y are always on the right. Now, when we call inside zone, there's a slight difference with the running back. F is usually going to be, we signify with a word on which side of the quarterback he's going to be on. But when we call inside zone, he's going to be slightly offset. And there's a difference between how we teach inside and outside zone as far as the lineup of the running back. Reason being, it's a subtle difference, but the reason being is I like to have that forward momentum when he's going up the hole or up the line. It gives him that little bit of push through the line to get through the line, especially if there's a clogged up hole. So how we teach it with inside zone, first, we'll start with the receivers. I personally like to just have the receivers on the outside. My X and my Y receivers just go on go routes. So I tell them just to clear out the corners best you can. So make it look like you're taking off on your vertical and bring that corner with you. So I tell them to do that. Our slot receivers, you can tell them either way. You could tell them to go on vertical routes and clear out. Try your best to clear out those linebackers and possibly even take the safety with you. But you can either tell them to do that, or you can even tell them to block in. And what we do is we tell them to block. We tell them to try and get to the defender's inside shoulder, play side shoulder, and try and square them off to the opposite side of the play. But the real important blocks are when it comes to the line. So I'm just going to go down from play side. So play side tackle, and I'm going to only show this the outside inside zone from going to the left, because if not, the video is going to be probably an hour long, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to sit through that. So, like I was saying, play side tackle. First rule is he's looking. Is anyone going to flash the B gap in front of his face? If not, he's going to take and just drive this defender all the way back as far as he can, and he's not going to stop until he hears the whistle. Then we go to play side guard. He's protecting his play side A gap first. All right. If anybody's in the A gap first, that's his responsibility. If not, then it's B gap or head up right in front of him, and then it's B gap. Excuse me. It's head up, then B gap. So our offensive line, we typically tell them or teach them to follow the simple rule of inside, out, inside, head up, and outside first. Those are your basic rules. And with our two running schemes, we basically follow that for the most part. So, but what he's doing is, since it's that play side, the center, once he snaps the ball, if he doesn't have anybody head up or inside the play side A gap, he is comboing with the left guard so that defensive tackle, and they're going to drive that defensive tackle to the nearest inside linebacker. Now, both the play side guard and the center, they're having their eyes on this linebacker right here. And whichever way he breaks, if he breaks this way, the guard comes off his block, and he comes in and he picks up the linebacker at the second level. If the linebacker breaks the opposite way, breaks to the inside, then the center comes off the combo, and he is now engaging the linebacker. Now, but we tell both these linemen, if they are in a combo, they are already driving this combo block into that linebacker with their eyes both up. So they're both driving with their eyes up, looking at which way he breaks. Does he break inside or does he break outside? And that determines which guard or center comes off. On the backside, again, the backside guard, his first rule is protect the backside A gap, and then it's head up, and then it's backside B gap. So since he's got a guy head up right here, he has no one A gap. Now if a linebacker comes down and blitz, then yeah, that he's picking him up. But right now in this formation or this defensive scheme, he's taking the head up defensive tackle. Now this is where it gets a little different right here is we do not block the backside defensive end. We leave him alone. All right, so the tackle's responsibility is anybody going to flash in front of your face at the backside B gap? If not, you are breaking and comboing down with the backside guard. And again, just like the center and guard on the other side, you are taking this combo up to the nearest linebacker, and you are driving this in whichever way he breaks. If he breaks outside, tackle comes off his block, and he's picking up the defender. Or if he breaks inside, which typically he does on the inside zone, he's typically going to break this way because he's following the flow of the play. The guard will then break off the combo and come and engage the linebacker. Again, we are leaving this defensive end, this backside defensive end, unblocked. Now, typically what he does is what we see them do a lot is we will see that defensive end take not necessarily a sharp angle to the running back, but he will take a wide angle and come this way. And then once he sees the ball is being hit off, he's gonna cut in like this. All right. So with that being said, in that path of the running back, we do not run a read option. We do not run a zone read or anything like that. But what we do is we do tag what we call quarterback keeping. And we call the quarterback position, we call that the star position. So what we do is we do eventually tag in a star keep. So we'll call inside zone left. And if we see this defensive end breaking in hard this way, then we will call that star keep. And on every play before we tag in the star keep, with this quarterback, the quarterback is faking the outside run, and his aiming point is in between the two wide receivers. His aiming point is in between the two wide receivers, not any further outside, not further inside, because you don't want to draw any more other defenders. And typically what we do is we watch what this defensive end does with that. And a lot of times, beginning of the game, he's not even paying attention to the quarterback. He's trying to follow that running back and get to the backfield and get the running back. So we see that, and later on in the game, we will start calling this, and then you will start seeing that defensive end not exactly know what to do, and then it opens up running lanes. Basically, it opens up both the run to the running back or to the quarterback keeper. But again, we do not have the quarterback reading the defensive end. Because typically middle school defensive ends, they're rushing to a spot in the backfield, and their job is to get to that spot. So he's not they're not teaching these defensive ends necessarily to read and to sit or to chase down the line. They're not teaching those defensive ends that. So they're doing one thing only, and that's trying to get to the backfield. Now the running back, he has, and we teach a few things. We call it what is it called? We call it a bang, a bend, or a bounce. Okay, so his first aiming point, once he's getting his ball from the quarterback, once they mesh with the quarterback, his aiming point is right up the center's butt. Okay, typically what he does is he breaks it off into that A gap that's on that play side A gap, because that linebacker is breaking this way. Because just the flow of the lineman will cause that linebacker to come this way a little bit. All right, so his first point, he's going to bang it into that A gap. Now we teach the running backs, and we run these on zone drills, inside zone drills with the linemen in practice. We teach the running back to read these linebackers, because if the linebackers clog up these holes right here, he has the option to then bounce it a little bit more outside. Okay, he can either hit it to the B gap, or he can bounce it outside to the C gap, or he can bang it back in towards the backside A gap or the backside B gap, whatever opens up right here. So we give the running back that option, and whatever hole he sees, and he sees once he gets to this line, he's supposed to hit it full speed and go. Okay, and by the time he's going through the line right here, we're having the running back cover up the ball with both hands. And that is the inside zone out of our doubles formation. Now again, I'm only going to show it to left side. The rules don't change. Excuse me. The rules don't change whether it's going to the right or left. And now I will show you the inside zone out of trips. And then we'll move on to the outside zone. Here's our inside zone. And same thing for the most part. All right, there are a few subtle changes, but for the most part, it's all the same. Again, our outside receivers, they are running their verticals. Now, you can have the option of blocking them, sealing them to the outside if you want. That's fine. Because typically we see a lot of corners they're already having their outside leverage, so it makes the block a little bit easier. But I like to just tell my receivers, just clear them out because, already a lot of times the other teams that are playing us, they know we like to throw the ball, so they're already ready for that. So if they see my receivers running, they're running with them and they're clearing out. So that's what I like to tell my receivers to do. 2 slot receivers on the side again. H always in the inside, Z always in the middle. They again are getting to the inside shoulder of their defender that's nearest to them. What do we got here? Typically what we see is we'll see them bring over 2 linebackers, and they will also shade over with a safety. So they like to try and cover 3 with 4. We see this a lot, so that's why I drew it up this way. Again, running back is offset a little bit and behind, again, to create that forward momentum going to the line. I like to have that, and it's a subtle change that very few defenses pick up on. When we notice we move the running back, they've never picked up on it, so it's something we take advantage of. Again, the blocking schemes are the same. They are the same. Tackle, play side tackle. He's watching the flashing of the B gap, anyone B gap or head up, and then outside. We got the combo right here with the play side guard and play side center to the defensive tackle, and then their eyes to the linebacker, whichever way he breaks, either one that determines which one comes off their combo, and are taking and engaging that linebacker. And the backside guard again is watching backside A gap, head up, and then backside B gap. Same thing here. We leave this backside defensive end again unblocked because typically he's going to be coming to a position right about right here. He's not going to come all the way down the line and make the play in the backfield. Highly unlikely. Very rarely have I seen it happen. But still, to keep him honest and have the quarterback flash in front of his face, and it does work. It does work. You do see a reaction out of the defensive end. We will have that quarterback fake that quarterback keeper, that star keep that we call it. All right, now in the trips, his aiming point is in between the middle receiver and the outside receiver. Their starting points, that's his aiming point for where he's going to run that ball. So you want to keep it outside, not too far outside and not too far inside. We want to kind of just keep it right in the middle. And so again, we can tag on the star keep if we see this defensive end really, really biting. Again, you can send these receivers to on go routes, vertical routes, just to clear out the whole area because again the safety will go with them. Now, what I like to do typically, if I see the linebackers and their defensive ends, linebackers coming up real close, then absolutely I'm sending them all on go routes because they're just going to run with the receivers. That tells me they're in straight up man defense. They're going to run with the receivers, and it's going to clear out this whole area right here. So absolutely, I will tell them to clear out every single time on that one. But it's pick your choice with the receivers, whether you want them to block or you want them just to clear out. I mean, I've done it either way. Typically, I like to just keep the outside receivers going on their vertical routes just to clear out those corners, just to get them out of the way. Now, why do I like to run away from the trip side? I mean, you can run it. We can do it either way. It would be a simple tag for me just to tag it this way, and then then instead of calling it zone left, it would just be called zone right, and we just tag it, and then the offense would know what to do. But typically, I keep that as a tag, and I like to run away from the trips because, again, you see the defense shift to the strong side, which leaves that backside open a little bit more. It's a little bit more contained. And again, with the athletes, we can get outside. There's a little bit more grass, especially when we bring this one receiver in a little bit more. There's a little bit more grass to the outside, and it definitely opens up a little bit more with the outside zone, which I'm about ready to show you. So that's why I like to run. Typically, I like to run away from the trip side but that doesn't change. I mean, I've done either or, where it's just a simple little tag and a couple little word changes in the play call, and you're all of a sudden this running back's on this side and you're running to the right. And again, the rules as far as the linemen don't change. They don't change at all. So it's pretty simple little fix. And I will go over tags and things like that in a later video, but it's really easy. But this is just personal preference that I like to run it this way. So let's go to, I'm going to go to the outside zone. This is our outside zone play. And again, I'm just going to go to the receivers here too as well. And pick your poison again here as well. You can have the receivers block, run off the block. You know, you can have them stalk block, or you can have them go on go routes. I do them either or. Typically, again, I like to have the receiver, the outside receiver, just go on their go routes and clear out that area, especially on the outside zone. You can do the same thing with the slots receivers, but on the outside zone, I teach a little bit of a different blocking scheme, especially with the linemen. So what I like to do with the slot receivers, I like to have them take part in that technique as well, especially on the play side technique. We have a technique that's called a rip or run technique. Okay, the run technique takes place on the actual concept side, or actually on the play side. All right, so the run technique, essentially what the run technique is the player first is going to try and get to the play side shoulder, whichever way that play is going. So this one's going to left. He's going to get to that left side, or his left side, or their shoulder, which would be their right shoulder, and he's going to try and seal him into the inside. Okay, so eventually, what the rip technique is, essentially that's what that rip technique is, to try and get to that shoulder and seal. But if he can't do that, then he's just going to try and run that defender to the sideline and just keep running. So that's why it's called the run technique. Same thing here. Now it's a little bit harder of a block for that defensive end. So he's going to try and get to that outside shoulder. But typically what happens with this defensive end, this tackle is just going to run this defensive end, and he's just going to keep running him to the sideline until he hears the whistle. Same thing with the guard and the center. Now, again, the rules as far as their responsibilities are the same as the inside zone. They're going to protect their inside, then head up, then outside first. So what we have here is he's going to try and get to that shoulder. They're going to combo and run that defensive tackle into this linebacker as far as they can. So it's the same blocking scheme essentially as the inside zone. All right. Now the flow of the play, you will see this linebacker and both linebackers start flowing to the play, which typically opens up this left guard right here to move in and come off his combo and take on the linebacker, which then the center would just continue his run technique and push him all the way to the sideline as much as he can, and until he hears the whistle. Now, our backside is the rip technique, and the rip technique is a little bit easier based on the angles. So again, the rip technique is to get to that play side shoulder and just seal them inside and just seal them away from the play. And just, that's it. All they're going to do is just seal that defender to the play, or to the backside of the play. So these blocks are a little bit easier. So this guard just going to seal the nearest defender, which typically he's going to line up either head up or to the outside a little bit. Now, if he's inside here, then he might have to do the run technique. It all depends on where he's lined up at. And this is where we do actually block that backside defender. So an outside zone, the backside tackle does block the backside defense, and all he's doing is just, again, sealing him to the opposite side. The slot receiver is doing the same thing. He's sealing. So typically what that slot receiver will do, instead of running to the defender, he's probably going to have to run to an area where that defender is going to be. We do not block this linebacker that's right here. The reason being is he's typically going to be watching the running back. So he's going to be following the running back, which, again, on the outside zone, we are faking the star keep with the quarterback keeper. And typically, a lot of times, this linebacker is not even paying attention to the quarterback. He's paying attention to this running back because they lined up evenly on the same side. So typically what we see on the defenses that we play is that's just how the responsibilities flow, if you just count from side to side. So we will see this linebacker run with the running back. Now, the running back's goal is to flash right across the quarterback's face and his aiming point is just inside where the outside receiver's lined up at, just inside. So basically he's aiming for the inside portion of that outside receiver's hip. Now again, just like in the inside zone, we are teaching the bang, the bend, and the bounce. Okay, so he's banging it out here. Okay, he could bend it back this way. Okay, he could bounce it to the outside, or I'm sure you bend it back towards this way too, or bend it back into the inside right here, depending on where the option. So he's going to bang here, bounce here, and bend it back this way as well. So I even get myself confused, but that's how we would teach it. And again, we're teaching the running back, to read these linebackers here, because typically these linemen, they're getting moved to the play. Holes open up all over the place right here, so he has his pick of the spot where he wants to go. So again, if we see a lot of open grass on this side, we will also tag on the star keep as well. And that's our outside zone in our doubles formation. And our last one is just out of trips. And again, it really does not change. Now, one thing I didn't point out in my doubles formation is here's the subtle difference with the running back. The running back's even with the quarterback, and that the reason being is, again, to get that momentum going outside, it is harder to do and harder to create if he's offset to the back. So we just slightly move him up a little bit. And again, it's such a subtle little change that very few defenses will ever pick up on that. So it's a very, very subtle change. It's hard to pick up on. And again, with a word, we can put the running back on this side or on this side. It doesn't really matter. We can run towards the trips and away from the trips. But again, especially in an outside zone, I like to run away from the trips, because you'll see the defense shifting over this side to the strong side, and there's all this open grass here. Now, I'm not going to go over the rules necessarily again as far as the rip and run technique. They are the same again for the linemen. Play side are going to try and do the rip technique if they can. If not, they're running them to the sideline. All right. The backside are just straight up doing the rip technique. Okay. And they're sealing their nearest defensive lineman away from the play. Same thing with the slot receivers. Outside receivers are getting their vertical release and getting outside release and getting and clearing out those corners. Now, subtle change here, a little bit of a difference is, since we bring this receiver in, the running back's aiming point is outside, basically right past or almost aiming at the numbers. Okay, outside of the wide receiver. And again, this quarterback is faking his run, and he's aiming in between the Z and the Y receiver. Okay, again, we are leaving this linebacker unblocked because he's going to flow typically with the running back, which again, if our receivers are blocking pretty well here, this star keep becomes open after the first couple series, and you will see it pop open all the time. And I have cut-ups that I'll show you of how open our star keep becomes after we've ran the inside zone or outside zone a couple times. It's pretty impressive. And again, we don't read a defensive end. We don't read a linebacker. We're not running RPOs. That's why I have my slot receivers running and getting the blocks in, or running their defenders off. I haven't really messed too much with the RPOs. I think it's just a little bit too hard, a little bit too much thinking for a middle schooler to do right now, and especially with the time that we have, we don't necessarily have the type of time that it would take to teach an RPO, but it's possible. I mean, it's definitely not impossible. It's definitely possible to do, but we just don't do it. And so going back to the play, running back, he can bang it this way. He can even bounce it further outside, or he can bend it back into the space that is going to be created in here too as well. It all depends on kind of where this unblocked linebacker goes. Does he flow the play a little bit more outside? If he does, the running back can bend it back. If he cuts it in, he's going to continue going out this way. And this is his original path first and foremost, is right here. But his eyes are up here too as well. He's reading these blocks. He's reading the holes. And he can see where that unblocked linebacker is. And he's going to read the blocks and read the holes. And he's going to make his cut. And he's going to put his foot in the ground. And he's going to go. And that is it for our two running schemes. Again, we only run two running schemes in our base offense, which would be inside zone and outside zone. Now, we do have a few other runs that we use in package plays and that we install later on, like midway through the season and everything. And I'll show those later on. But as of if our base offense that we have installed within first 3-4 days, these two running schemes are all essentially we really need, because we don't really need too much, because the short quick passing game opens up the running lane, so you don't need too many runs in your playbook. If you can have two solid runs, an outside run and an inside run, you should be solid as far as your running game is going. So if you all like this this content here, then please hit the subscribe button, hit a like, and it'll really help me out, help me grow the channel, and I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Thank you, fellas.